Hello and welcome to Leanne's Weekly Weigh-In. I am Leanne, and this week on the Slimming World scales I lost ½ pound, which actually for the Christmas period is a really good weight loss. So two things there. I'm doing Slimming World, and the fact is I told you that I've lost. So where have I come from and where have I got to and what's the story in between? I've actually lost near enough 2 stone, which I'm £2 away from the 2 stone mark, which means I've nearly lost 28 pounds. So I've actually lost 26 pounds since I started, and I started 3 months ago in September. So what has happened to me since you last saw me, which was actually, do you know, it was 2.5 years ago. It was 2.5 years ago since my lovely dad passed on from this world and went over to the afterlife. It happens, and it was a journey and a struggle for me, a real struggle emotionally. As you know, we actually went through a complete season, and this happens in life, you know. We have to be honest, in life we have seasons. We have seasons of prosperity, we have seasons of loss, and Paul and I went through a huge season of loss. We lost quite a lot of people in a very short space of time. Within a 2-year period, we literally, one after the other, we was losing parents left, right and family members left, right and centre. We lost, first of all, Paul's dad. Although he didn't die, he did have massive heart attacks, and he was on life support, and we went to see him, and that was the start of it. We then sadly lost Paul's mum the following April. We then lost Paul's uncle. We lost his auntie, and then we lost my dad. As I don't know if you remember any of it, and if you want to go back on the videos are still up. I actually ended up doing my dad's end of life care, and was there with him right the way through, right to the end. Mum was there too, and my brother Mark was there as well. And it was a really, really tough time for us. We'd changed quite a lot, and the other things that had happened as well. I know I talk about my faith here. Everything in this channel, if you're interested, is up for discussion and open. And we'd lost our church. We'd been to a lovely church, and there was people had a disagreement. We ended up leaving the church, and then we found it very difficult to find a new church. I was with my university church, so I was there for a little while, and then we found a little church in our local community. And I really thank God for my church, actually. And I don't want to make this about a religious video, because it's not, because it's actually about my life and my weight loss journey. But the church was really, really supportive, and came around me and helped me. And luckily, we knew a lot of them anyway through my other old church, so that was quite nice. But they came beside my dad and helped my dad through a real tough time in his last, what we realise now was his last couple of months, and then also helped Mum and myself when we went to him in the hospice, which was really difficult. And I can talk about it now without getting upset, because I don't get upset anymore about it, because it has been a long time. And even though there'll be times in your life, because I believe that grief never goes away, it's always there, but you just grow further and further around from it. But then also what happens if you have like momentums like perhaps Christmas or even birthdays or just anniversaries, you're back there and you get a few tears. I sometimes get a few tears with songs in church that remind me of my dad. It's just how it is. So Dad did come to faith just before he passed, and then Mum came to faith, and my brother came back to church. So we are all now in our local churches. Although my brother moved on, he met an amazing lady, and they got married, and they're now they work in a parish where they live. and I'm still working within the church, and I'm still working at M&S, only just. I'll talk about that in a minute. Doing diversity and inclusion, and also helping people into the workplace. That's my new role. But there's been lots and lots and lots of losses. And how did I cope with all of that? It was quite difficult. I found it very, very difficult when Dad passed. 6 months after, actually. So straight away was fine. After 6 months after, Mark and Mum had grieved. I hadn't really grieved because I just really felt as if I'd taken everything on. And I don't think that anybody really tells you what it's like to go through that time when you're with somebody you really love and care about, and go through that end of life care process. Nobody really talks about it. And because I was the one that was responsible and was there, taking on the almost like the caring role for him. That's not to say that my brother didn't or my mum, they did, but I spent a lot of the time organising, because that's what I do. I like to plan and organise and make sure everything's fine. I thought, this is what I need to do, and I did it. 6 months after everything had happened and it had all finished, I went through a really difficult time. I went through a real difficult time with my faith. I went through a difficult time with my eating, and I just wasn't getting the support, and I don't think people really understood how I was feeling at church. I felt as if I didn't fit in because I was new to that church, and I was so used to doing other things in my other churches. I wasn't into any routine. I didn't have any structure. My Weight Watchers meeting, that had all changed. They changed the whole programme. Those of you who were in the States and I know in Canada, and also some that follow me in the UK that followed me through Weight Watchers and were part of the Weight Watchers journey, you will know yourself. They went through this whole time where they changed it. I knew where I was with points, and I didn't know where I was with this new programme, and I couldn't get my head into changing the shift in gears for the transformation of the new programme. I just couldn't get it at all. I wasn't in that mind space. I needed something to be constantly the same. It wasn't. I found it really difficult. Our group didn't really have a support group after the meeting. A lot of people would come in, get weighed and go, because it was assigned to my local, well, it was actually assigned to my workplace. So we didn't really have a group, and when we did, it wasn't as supportive as the groups that we've had before. That wasn't anybody's fault. That's just because people would just come and go and they wouldn't really stay, and you couldn't really form a lot of strong friendships because people didn't stay consistently. And then the actual group disbanded anyway. So what had happened was I ended up eating a lot because that was my comfort mechanism. I had got out the habit of eating sensibly. I had got into the habit of grease on wheels, as we call it in our house. And what we would do is every night I would be, what do you want for dinner, Mr. Rivet? And he would tell me, and I would do it on my phone. And by the time I'd got to the front door, we would have McDonald's or pizza, Domino's, Papa John's, whatever we wanted, kebab, whatever it was, we had it. And we were eating like that every single night. And that actually quite scares me, and it really scares me. I'll tell you why it really scares me, because I had to go to the doctors this week for a checkup on my medication. I take some meds, which I have to do for life, and it includes every 6 months having a blood test. Now, I went to see the doctor. They talked to me about my bloods from 6 months ago, and I went, "Oh, did you know your cholesterol was high?" And I said, "No, nobody told me." I can probably see why my cholesterol was high. The amount of rubbish I was putting into my mouth, and just awful. And I'm actually quite disgusted with the fact that I did that near enough for about 2 years. as I said, my brother got married, and I had decided I wanted to lose weight for the wedding, and I had decided to try intermittent fasting. I'd fasted with my friends, my Muslim friends, at times, and I've also fasted for church. I believe in fasting. I think it's really important if you're following any type of religious practice. I think it's really good for you. It really centres you. And so I thought I could do intermittent fasting. I could do 1 meal a day. I did that. It was very successful. The wedding happened. I got down to a size 14. I looked lovely in a dress. And then I went back to my same habits. So there was a cycle, and I couldn't break the cycle. I really couldn't. I did try. But as I've said to you before, I've found it really, really difficult all my life with food. And I just think it's something that my family is used to. My nan, she liked her food. My mum loves her food, and she's a good cook. I like cooking, although I hadn't done a lot of it for the previous couple of months, but a couple of years, because we were having takeaways. So we do like our food. We like going out to eat. I mean, who doesn't? And it was just one of those things. Look, life happens. So what did happen and what changed my mind was this year, lots of stuff happened at work. People were being made redundant. My boss was made redundant. I was offered the option of redundancy, but then offered to do a maternity cover, which I took. And I'm doing a really good job. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and I really loved it. But I found it really difficult again to transition from being used to being a PA, used to doing everything and in control of everything, to suddenly not being in control. So I was having a crisis at work. I wasn't really happy. I'd lost my boss. I'd lost the team that I loved. Everything had disbanded. This is part of life. Changes happen. And how we cope with those is really important. And it's really difficult to talk about these things, and not get emotionally involved, because I care so much about people. I get very, very involved in people's lives. I can't help it. I think that's part of my pastoral nature. It's a gift I have, but it really hurts me as well. And rather than doing the sensible thing by obviously praying and coping that way, my other coping mechanism is, and I really decided. It got to September, and I wasn't happy. And as you know, I've gone across the country. I've worked and done a lot of the Pride celebrations, and I've met some amazing people up and down the UK working in my job. And I have had lots of photograph opportunities. And I had one particular photograph, and I'm going to insert it because this was the one that really publicly shamed me, because they put it on Facebook. And it was great. I had a really great evening. I had a really good time. I think it was Sparkle, actually. It was 1 July. I'm not sure if it was this year or if it was obviously last year or the year before. But this photograph really hurt me. Not because the person posted it. It hurt me because I really felt bad about the state that I'd got myself in. I mean, if you look at my arms are absolutely huge on there. Well, might not be to some people, but to me, it felt like I had like Pluto arms. It was just, or bingo wings, or whatever you want to call them. And I just my skin looks really bad. My face was really round, and I really had puffed up, and I knew it was all of the toxins that we were eating and not the good stuff that we should be eating. And I ended up hiding in all the rest of the photographs behind these boards and stuff that we'd put out. And I decided, that's it, I've had enough. And as I said, it came to the end of this year's Pride celebrations, because when you're going across the country, it's really difficult to eat sensibly anyway, because you're always going out and going to fast food places or places to eat. So September time came, and I thought, we're going back to school, start new program, and let's go back to. And I was going to go back to Weight Watchers. But then I thought, I don't know if I really want to do it, because that last program they did, and I didn't, and I didn't want. Part of me didn't want to go back to my old group. I thought about going back to my Saturday group, and I really did love the group there. They were really kind to me, and that was a really great group. But I also, Saturdays is the only day I have to me. And it was a Saturday that we would do that I would have to go and do it. So it would mean that taking up the whole morning. I wouldn't have been out there till lunchtime. And that again meant getting up early, going to group, losing, half the day. Sundays spent all day at church mainly. So I felt I don't really want to do Weight Watchers. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it. And I thought, do you know what else is around? And I thought, Slimming World. Now, again, Slimming World, I'd seen so many people on Slimming World. I've watched so many videos on YouTube of Slimming World. Yvonne Chock used to do it, and then she didn't do it, and she made a whole video about it, saying, it was really bad, and, well, not really bad, but, wasn't how to the style that she wanted to do. And I thought, I'm not sure if I really want to do it. But I decided to go along because, as I've said to you before, I am an overeater. I do like my food, but I need that support group. I need that support. So I did it. I went through the doors. There was a group on a Monday. Apparently it only just started out this time last year in January. And I met my wonderful consultant, Amy, although she wasn't there the day that I started. She was on holiday. She was just on holiday. So I had in my hand my magazine, Women magazine, and it had this Slimming World voucher in, so I didn't have to pay the fee to start. And I decided to go, so I went and I met Keris. She was the one that did my talk. She gave me this wonderful little book, which is a folder with all of the books in. And basically this is your program. Those of you who have seen the program before, lots of people in the UK there'll be lots of people doing Slimming World in the UK. They will know this book. This is the Slimming World Bible. It is the story of Margaret Miles. What's her surname? Miles Bramwell. She's the lady here. You've probably seen her before. And she has devised this program over 50 years. Now, they used to do greens and red days, which was like carbs one day and protein the next day and things like that. I mean, I've followed all sorts of dieting worlds, but I've never really dived into Slimming World before. So all of this knowledge is now turned into something called Food Optimising. Now, how does it work? If you are in the US, and most people who will be doing Weight Watchers, it's not entirely the same as, but it's almost like the Simply Fuller menu. Is it Simply Fuller? Or in the UK it was called No Count, where you have a list of foods and you can eat as much as you want of those foods, and then also have your points alongside it. So the way that this one works is that there's a whole list of foods that you can eat, and they're called free foods. Now, there are certain foods that are protein, there are certain foods that are called speed foods, which are low calorie dense foods. Now, you're supposed to have, on every meal that you have, a third of your plate should be these speed foods, these low calorie dense foods. So they are like your green vegetables and your fruits. But then everything else off the list is you can eat in abundance. So there are proteins on there, so there's meats, there's fishes, and there are some pulses as well. There's enough food on there to be able just to use and eat free food and make as many meals as you want. The next thing that they do is they make sure that you eat enough calcium each day and enough fibre each day, and these are what they call healthy extras. So you have your healthy extra A, which is the calcium, and you have 2 of those a day, and you have a healthy extra B, which is your fibre intake. Now these are measured. You measure those, and you have those every day. And I think it's like I think I do 350 mils of skimmed milk, 3 mini baby bells. That's my second one for my healthy extra A. I always have that every day because I find calcium very difficult to get into me. It's one of those things that I don't naturally go to. So it's actually quite good that I'm doing that. And then the fibre intake, which is all like your cereals, your brands, anything like that, bread. Although I have noticed I haven't eaten any bread and I haven't missed it in the whole time I've done this. There are things on there as well, like pasta, potatoes, things that you didn't think that you'd have to measure before if you're on the other programme. You don't measure them here. You can eat in as much as you want until you are full. And that's the way of the Slimming World programme. The other section of it is rather than points, they have SYN, which is SYN, and it stands for synergy, and they are like your points foods basically. And I have up to 15 a day, and then you have to eat between 5 and 15 a day. So you do have to eat them. That is the programme. So you need to at least make sure you have eaten some SYNs each day. But they can be healthy fats. They can be the avocados if you want it. They're quite controversial because avocados are SYNed. Some people don't like that. You can put fats in there. So if you want to have butter, you can have butter. If you want to have a slice of bread and you want to SYN it, you can have that. So it is doable. But the thing that I like about it, and it took me a long time to get into, it took me about a month to get into it. And you see everybody else that does it. Oh, I lost so much food and I lost 6 pounds in the first week, and I lost this in the first week. I never did that. I lost, I think, actually in my book it would tell me what I lost for the first time. I lost 2 pounds in the first week, 3.5 in the second week, 1 pound in the third week, 5 pound, half a pound in the fourth week. By the fifth week, I don't know why I lost 6 pounds, but that I don't know how that happened, because I've lost every week, and it has evened out to about 1.5 pounds on average the whole time I've done it. And I've just been following the plan. Now the plan it's not convenient. You do have to learn to cook, and you do have to cook again. That's one of the hardest things that I had to really change my mindset. So what I did do, I started to look into the Slimming World foods. Now Iceland in the UK do Slimming World food, which are frozen ready meals, which you can have. So when I was first starting, that first couple of weeks, I was mainly using those. The chips are absolutely amazing. But let me tell you something about this way of eating. They don't call it a diet because it is a lifestyle. I think it is sustainable. What I like about it is you're eating normal food, you are eating healthy food, you're making choices which are better for you. If you really look at it, it is low calorie, although you're not counting anything really apart from your SYNs and your healthy extras. But the way that it is creating deficits, so that's why you lose the weight. But the food that you eat in sustains you, and it's something that you can actually do for life. And it is a lifestyle plan. I don't think it's something that you can just pick up, do, lose the weight, put it all back on, go back again. Well, you could do it, but I think that it's a way, and you know, Paul has done it too with me, although he doesn't go to the group. He's been eating the food. He loves all the food that we eat. We eat we eat a lot, and this is one of the things that everybody says, you eat a lot of food on it. And the more food you eat when you food optimize, the more weight you lose, weirdly enough. And it works. I don't know why it works. There is science around it, but it does work. And I actually feel that I am eating probably how we used to eat as kids and how my nan used to cook, with, you know, eating fresh fruit and vegetables, foods that you'd get around the outside of the supermarket and not right in the middle of the supermarket. So, you know, there's lots of cupboard staples, and I think what I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks is go through things. You know, I used to do my big bag, you know, what's in my basket this week. What I might do is go through my cupboard staples and how I'm cooking and what I'm cooking, because I've had real great fun with it, and I've also had great fun meeting new people online with it. So I've met Tracy Mouse. Tracy Mouse has had these wonderful little hearts. Her husband, Mr. Mouse, makes these. This was my start weight, and this is my weight at the moment. If you want to buy some of these, she sells them on eBay. If you're in the in another country and would like these, you can message Tracy Mouse, and she will let you know what how she can get these to you. I think they're about £4, and the postage is free in the UK. One of the other things that spurred me on, you'll see this little gentleman here. This, if you're in the US, you'll know who this is. If you're in the UK, you won't know who he is. This is Mr. Rogers, and he was a pivotal part in my journey to getting me back on track, really. So I quite like the fact that he's got the trolley on, getting me on the track, on the trolley track. The story of Mr. Rogers, he was a children's pastor, and he had a TV programme called Mr. Rogers' Neighbourhood. Now, if you're in the States, you're probably humming the song at the moment. But I watched a documentary. There is a film with Tom Hanks that's just come out in the States. It's coming out here in January. I don't think it is. I have seen it. I saw a preview of it. I don't think it is as good as the original documentary which I watched, which changed my life, actually. It really helped speak to me when I was in a dark place. The documentary is called Won't You Be My Neighbour? It's the story of his life by the people that were closest to him. It's an amazing documentary, and he talks about this magical number, which is 143. And it's basically in his numerology is saying I love you. And he spoke so much good into people. He spoke about being kind to people, and it resonated so much in me. It's a sort of simple faith that I absolutely loved and adored. He worked in child development. It's all the stuff that I've done with my career within the church and at uni. I really, really loved it. So he actually lived his adult life, because he was, when he was a child, he was a big child, and he was bullied quite badly about it, and he used to get very upset about it. And as an adult, he stayed at £143. So that is my goal. So I'm not looking at, I'm not obsessing over the numbers, but my goal is to be £143, just like Mr. Rogers, because that is actually saying that I love myself, and I'm learning to love myself. That's one of the hardest things, I think, for everybody to do. So when I shared this with my group, they thought it was really sweet, and they're all gearing for me to get me back on track. So what have I been doing to keep myself on track? I've been doing these amazing things because I also love planners, because one of the things that you do in Slimming World, which I also feel is really motivating, is that you get certificates. And the certificates, I mean, I've had Slim of the Week a couple of times, and you get these little stickers, and you know how we all like a little chart. Now, some people you will see, if you look on YouTube, you'll see people with they'll put the stickers on their book. I don't put my stickers on my book. I don't know why I don't. There was just something about me that doesn't want to mess up the book. I'm desperate for them to do a chart so I can stick my stickers on a chart and have the chart up, you know, like when you done you got your spellings and tables right at school. But they give you like these stone awards and half stone awards. I think that was a half stone there. It's half stone. So they're in half stone increments. They also talk about Body Magic, which is their version of exercising. So if you do, you can set yourself goals, which I've done. So I got my bronze, which I think was 15 minutes of exercise a day over a sustained period of 4 weeks. And I just use my Fitbit and it's walking. I'm not really going to the gym or anything, but I am up in my walking. I've got my silver. I'm now working towards my gold. And there's my 1.5 stone award. I'm working on my way to my 2 stone award, which is really great. But the planners that I'm using, I didn't really like the Slimming World planner. But I found these you get these in lots of different covers. It's a company called Fabulous Planning. .co.uk. I think again they will send it out to the States as well. And the front cover, it has all of the metric conversions and look, stickers. Who doesn't like a sticker? And it's just really, really great because you can fill in your dough. I've literally started this one this week. I finished my first. They come in 3-month books. So I started finished my last one. I've got to fill this in. This is about putting down your goals and also a little bit about yourself. So you can really work on yourself. And then you've got your colouring, your mindful colouring. So you can colour in each half pound and pound that you lose. And then you put your pictures and your measurements in here, which I absolutely love. You know, the big kid in me loves a bit of this. Absolutely love a bit of this. Filling in my bits and pieces every day, how much I'm losing, what my sim values are, colouring in a weight loss graph here, you know, putting in your body magic, all of your activities that you're doing, your sleeping as well. That's a really good thing I've been doing. I've been tracking my sleep with my Fitbit as well. And here's your countdown. You put your weight losses in this one. What else? And this is what the days look like. So that you can put your free food in here, and you can put your speed food in here. You can put your healthy extras in here, and your treats in here. You do your planning bit of your food in here, and also any notes you want to put down, and you can track as well. And I absolutely love this. So if this is anything that I think that you need, the 3 things that I recommend on the Slimming World program would be obviously to get yourself to group. If you can't get to group, go online, do your food optimizing, track in one of these diaries. These are really great. And also get your Fitbit as well for your body magic. Now, you'll be pleased to know that these books also can be converted to Weight Watchers. So they do a Weight Watchers version, they do a calorie count version, they do 2 versions of Slimming World on there because they've got different ones. And they've got motivational quotes. That's some motivational quotes. Absolutely love these. So whatever program you're following, they will do something to support you. It's a family-run business. On a Friday, they do a freebie Friday, and you can go on their Instagram, put your names in, and you can be in with a chance of winning one of their really nice Filofax type planners, which is a bit like the Kiki K ones. Really, really great. Love, love, love this company. Can't recommend them enough. So much so I bought my friends at my group these for Christmas because I think they're really important, and I really attribute my weight loss to tracking because I really love to track. It's one of the things that I miss about Weight Watchers because I really like the books that they produced, but this is a really good version for that. The other thing I do miss on Weight Watchers is the app. I really liked the app. The Slimming World app is not as good as the Weight Watchers app, I'm going to be honest. But I do believe they are changing it. All you do is you just write in your your food, and it'll find the SIN value. Very similar, but I preferred scanning. I also really like the community aspect of the Weight Watchers app. It didn't really work for me any other way. Anyway, that I suppose is it, because I do have rambled on, and there's probably 2 lots, and it'll probably be a 2-parter this one because I've gone on. But there's been so much to catch up on. Listen, guys, I am back. I am going to do it. If you're in the US and you want to follow the Slim and Well plan, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either do it online because they don't have the groups in the US. You can do it online though. That's international. The other thing that you can do is you can follow the program. There is lots of videos online about it on YouTube, and in Pinterest there's lots of lists of SIN, the value of SINs in things and stuff like that. But I do think that if you're following the new Weight Watchers plan, which I know has gone 3 ways, blue, green and purple, I probably would have done the green version, which was the old point system. But I'm not tempted to go back because I think that this one's very similar to purple. If you're following the purple program, you could probably follow the Slimming World videos and program and everything, because what I'm going to talk about really is about healthy eating, and we're all up for that. So whatever I talk about here, if you're following Weight Watchers, do your slimming points things. You look for the points of the food that I'm telling you about. Or if you're following Slimming World, come along for the ride. So that's my rambling. Happy New Year, everybody. And hopefully I will see less of you next week. And let's start a brand new chapter together. Bye.